Have you ever made a huge decision in your life? Sold things, changed plans, made a big move, stepped into a completely new chapter, and everything in you knew it was what the right decision was for you. And you felt it and you were excited and you had this grand plan and you told everyone. And then suddenly nothing is working out. And it seems like the entire universe is doing everything to stop and block you from going. Plans falling apart, your body crashing, getting sick, life interrupts. That's essentially what happened to me. And it was very easy, especially, when you don't feel well, we're more prone to negativity. And I was sitting there going like, did I just make a huge mistake? Why this felt so good? And I trust my intuition implicitly. And I really wanted to speak into this today because I think so often people share from the end. They share how they got there and the after story and in the celebration of, and look at what I've achieved. There's the middle in the becoming. There's when you make a bold move and when you decide that you're going to up level your life, it is, yes, there's these beautiful highs and excitement, but you're also letting an old self die and you're having to be confronted with all the old identities and all the old relationships and with your relationships to yourself and all the parts of you that can't go with you where you're going. And there's a few things that I want to talk about today that really lend itself to this and the aspects of spiritual awakening and going to your next level. And when we often will reference becoming her and making bold moves and reinventing yourself. And especially if you're in midlife, we have a lot of life experience and, we're not new to this. We have a lot of wisdom and we also know ourselves in a way that we haven't. There's so much to that advantage, but also when you're in midlife and you make big moves, the stakes are higher. You're very aware of the implications and you feel it so much differently. When I left fashion design in New York and I went to start an online business, knowing nothing about that, and I had my West Village apartment, I just went in and quit. And I look back, I'm like, man, I had my balls. Like, that was ballsy. Like, no insurance, no real way I was going to pay my rent. Like, just kind of like taking a leap and a prayer. And here I am 22 years later, very grateful. But, I didn't have as much to lose. I feel like there's a different stake when you're in midlife. And I can also tell you, I love bold moves because they collapse time and they force you to actually have to up level in a bigger way. And today I really want to address what actually happens spiritually and mentally and physically when we do up level and how it can look like an absolute shitstorm and what I'm doing to stay grounded and connected to my decision and my end vision. Because I do think it often gets shared once it's all worked. And I really want to be very real and transparent. And that's why in the Reinvention Diaries and showing you guys this Bold Life series is like, what am I actually doing? How do I keep my mindset? And how am I not allowing a full derailment or the questioning to come in to stop me or have me go back, right? Because that's another thing that can really happen. I just wanted to open this conversation and really talk about what this looks like and what does it mean and the biggest message that I received. And it took me a moment, guys. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I've been sick now for like 12 days. I haven't been sick in a long time. I moved. And the minute I was staying with my father and we had some family visiting before I was going to Mexico. I can work from anywhere and all the things. And so there was a lot that I had lined up, but I also had this plan of what that was going to look like. And I left my home, I put my things in storage. I sold most of my things, right? And I felt fantastic. And within 2 days of being in, staying with my father, I got sick. And, and there's a whole other story there. And then some other things occurred in my family that I'm not going to go into at the moment. Everybody's okay, but it's caused me to stay aside. I saw, even though I'm so connected, how much I was resistant to surrendering and how much I was still grasping at control of my ideal and my expectations of how this was supposed to look, of I'm supposed to be overseas right now, and I'm supposed to be doing this, and I'm supposed to have these clients flying in, and I'm supposed to. And when I went on, and I often talk to you guys about my God walks, where I just go and I have these conversations with God, and I will hear very clearly the guidance. And it was like, do you have such little faith that I have something greater for you, and that I need you here right now to prepare you for what's next? And so it was like, rest, let go, surrender. Now is not the time. Do you really believe that your plan is greater than mine, essentially? And I was like, ooh, I guess I did. And I was really humbled. And I saw how much also, and just full transparency, an identity within me of needing to be productive, and this, still being efficient and getting things done, instead of like really just doing what my body needed, which was like endless sleep and rest. And so this is such a beautiful topic to talk about right now, because we are in a Mercury retrograde. And, I know everybody talks about Mercury retrograde and it's like retrograde, but when you really look at what is a retrograde, it's asking you to rest. It's asking, you may be feeling that you need more sleep. It's asking you to reflect. It's asking you to be more introspective instead of proactive. And when I really look at that, and we look at, and I'm just going to bring this in here, but I was saying this inside my membership class, the idea that energetically we would not be impacted by what goes on in the world when the ocean is impacted by the moon, right? Like the things that are going on astrologically, it would be crazy to think that they're not going to impact how we feel and our emotions. And right now, this is a time, like, it's Mercury, it's in Pisces, and Pisces is water, and it's emotion, and it's fluid, and it's not grounded, and it's really meant to be in flow and to allow for the release. What do we think happens when you enter into water? It's the cleansing, it's a detox, it's a renewal, right? Again, I'm going back to those words, but when you look at a retrograde, that's what it's about. And so I would love to hear from you. What have you been experiencing at this time? And have you had things just going completely awry? Has chaos ensued for you? Let me know in the comments. When we make a big decision, when we leave that job, when we leave that relationship, when we end a chapter, when we decide to make a big move, when we leave that career, there's always the ego that will come in and say, should you have done this? Because the mind only knows what you've taught it. It's just an artifact of past consciousness. So if you turn left, it's going to say you should have turned right. If you stay in, it's going to say you should have gone out. If you stayed in the relationship, it said you should have left. So the mind doesn't know present tense. It only knows what you've taught it. It's literally just a stream of past consciousness. It is ChatGPT. You have completely programmed yourself. So we have 80,000 thoughts on repeat a day. 60,000 of those are negative. So our job is not to believe that we are our thoughts. Our job is to program our mind with the programs that we want to experience and to rewire what isn't working. So the mind will come in and say, you made a mistake. You should go back. And it will want to pull you back. We have a thermostat setting. It will want to pull you back to your comfort zone. It'll say, but that job was good. It will say, but your relationship's good enough, right? He does this or she does that. And it's crazy out there, and being single and right? Like your mind will come in with all of these things because it wants you to go back to your comfort zone. But understand, if you're being called to a next level, then your mind it just wants to protect you. That doesn't mean that you'll like where it's keeping you. It doesn't mean that it's going to like the extra weight, or not having the exact amount of money that you want, or not having a job that you love. You will stay at status quo. The majority of people that follow me, they want extraordinary. They don't want ordinary. And we know that extraordinary is just one identity shift away. And so when we claim that next level identity shift, you are going to be faced with releasing, again, another reword, releasing all the things in you that are stopping or blocking you from that next level. All the lower dense energies, all the aspects of self that can't go with you. And so that's what the call is. And when I was sitting there and I was on my God walk, and it was, and God, I love these walks. I like can't wait to go on one. And even though I'm having a hard time breathing, I'm like, what's going on? The messages are so clear. You know, I had a call with a client earlier today, and within like 2 minutes, we like tapped in, we got into her body. And I was like, what are you being guided to? She's like, my body's saying, go outside, release the energy. And then we went right to the root cause of what was her fear of being seen. And we were brought back because the subconscious works in pictures. And that's why it will bring you back to memories. So when you prompt it that way. So when we are going to our next level, we have to let our nervous system know, right? My client's going to her next level. So she had fear of being seen, of really putting herself out. So I said, okay, right now we're going to drop in, let's clear. And we got back to the very root. And she's like, I cannot believe I'm being brought back to this memory of me on a playground. And I was like, don't judge it, just go there, you know? And she's like, and oh my God, like I said, okay, right there, you created a subconscious contract that said it is not safe to be seen, that you will be criticized, that you will be ridiculed, that you will be made fun of. So now we need to let your nervous system know that it is safe to go to your next level, that it's actually good. And so what this gets to look like is, let's just use the example of the gym, because the gym is such a beautiful, working out is such a beautiful example of our mindset, honestly. So if you're lifting heavy and you're doing something, like if you noticed, if you program yourself before, today's workout's going to be so hard. Oh my God, I'm not going to, it's going to be hard, and you're going to do everything to resist going. But instead, when you're lifting heavy and you move up, and if you tell yourself, I've got this, I love this, this feels so good for me, our body loves this, you're creating new neural pathways and a new program. And the mind wants to do what it believes is good for you. So as you're going to your next level, and I was reminded of that in this concept of surrendering, because when they say like, you have a plan, like you plan, God laughs. Like I did not even realize, I just, I run a business. So I'm like, okay, this is the content I'll create, and I'll bring people on the journey, and I'll do this. And then I'm so sick that I feel like I've been like offline. Right. And I'm like, because I've just felt it, yeah, I got dressed for you guys today. It's all me. But I say that because, can you surrender? And do you have faith? And that was another thing we were talking about inside my membership, about control. And many of the women were saying, I didn't even realize, like, I'm trying to control things. I'm controlling things with my husband. Like, I want him to help me, but then when he does, I want to control the way that he does it. But I was like, guys, we can't micromanage. Like, if you're getting the help, get the help. Asking for needs to be met. And then also surrendering. Like, true surrender, I think, gets talked about often, but no one really understands it. And so I wanted to speak into this, because surrendering means I'm fully letting go of whatever ideals I had of what this has to look like. I'm letting go of the expectations, because we will find that more times than not, we are so hurt and disappointed because we had unknown expectations of how an event was going to go, of how a trip was going to go, of how our relationship was going to be, of all of these things, and expectations of other people. That is one of the greatest gifts, when you can actually recognize the expectations that you have before they take hold, and release them and just say, I don't need it to go that way. True faith is surrender, because it's fascinating, because faith and fear require the same amount of faith. And often we live so much in a fear-based state, and we will put all our stock in it not working, waiting for the other shoe to drop, preempting the worst. And I really encourage, your words are literally casting spells and creating for you or against you at all times. So managing your mind, knowing that you are the creator, and really asking, can I surrender this? Especially when nothing is working. Like, I had to get to that point where I mean, like I said, I haven't shared everything here, but there's been so much. It's been very emotional. It's been draining. It's hard too, with what is going on. And then I'm sick and handling that. And then the border in Mexico, and then the rental that I was so excited about. I mean, like, you can't make this stuff up. The rental that I was so excited about, all of a sudden they just started doing construction on. and I get a message earlier today that it's not possible, like I won't be able to stay there. And I'm like, what is happening? Oh, I mean, there's so many things, and it's just one more. Can I just let that go and trust that I'm being redirected or protected? Can I trust in a plan that's greater than what I think? Do I actually think? And that was kind of like, wasn't like God was coming at me, but it was just, can you trust that? Like, I have something planned for you that's so much bigger and better than what you have. And there's a reason for all of this. Can you trust in it? Because it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't meant to. I wouldn't still be here. And that's when, even in our grandest plans and our greatest awakening, these things can happen. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about is body breakdown after we make a big declaration. Because, as I said, I've been experiencing this in real time, and I had a very clear vision of this next chapter and what it was going to look like. And when I sold almost everything and I was preparing to leave for Mexico, and my plans for my content, my life, my next chapter, and within days, I'm like housebound, and these other things occurred in my life that have kept me here. None of these plans that I had were unfolding, the way that I had expected. And that's hard. And it forced me to confront something that we hear a lot in personal development and spiritual work, and it is surrender. And I really, really, really want to speak into that, because most people think surrender means giving up. But surrender isn't giving up. Surrender is releasing control over outcomes. It's understanding that you can take aligned action, you can follow your intuition, you can make bold moves, but ultimately there is bigger intelligence organizing your life. Some people call it God, some people call it the universe. I'm personally a God girly, but the moment surrender happens is when you realize you're not in control of everything. And that's actually a good thing, because why would we want to be in control when we're just a human? When you have this beautiful divine intelligence that knows so much better than you and has already knows where you're going, that is redirecting and aligning things for you. Can you trust in that? So why with big life changes, often disruption happens? You will see this often. Sometimes things go so smoothly and it's like lovely, but often you will find this, especially if you're spiritually awake, there's something fascinating that happens after major life decisions. When we make a big leap, energetically, we often move very fast, but our human body, our physical reality doesn't always catch up immediately. And I was reminded of that. Like, our actual human body has to calibrate to where we've decided we're going. And this recalibration period is often when people will get something called like ascension flu or ascension symptoms. And all of a sudden they get sick, or they have a big crash after they just made a big move. And so that's where exhaustion, illness, emotional waves, unexpected life redirections come in. And this energy shifts really quickly, but the physical world moves slower. So I really want you to understand that, especially for those of you, that have had your spiritual awakening and are very attuned to knowing. And when I say spiritual awakening, what I mean is, that you are the creator of your reality, that you're co-creating at all times. You know that you are an energetic being. You know that divine consciousness is running through you and to you at all times. You are aware that there are greater energies at play and that you can tap into them at any time. And so the hardest part of surrender is when you made the decision, when you trust your intuition, when you take the leap, and when life doesn't look like what you expected, and the ego wants to panic and it wants certainty, and the ego loves timeline, and the universe doesn't work in time. We created time. Humans created time. There is no like, the universe doesn't know. And so surrender asks a different question. Surrender asks, what if what is happening right now is actually the plan? Just take that in. What if the delay, what if the interruption, what if the redirection is actually protection or preparation? And so one of the most powerful questions, especially if you're experiencing this right now, that you can ask yourself during this time And I love this, and I had to pose this to myself is, what if nothing is wrong? What if life is simply rearranging itself in a way that I cannot yet see? Really, when you open to that, it's like it allows your nervous system to breathe. Because so often we look back on the moments that felt like setbacks, and we realize later that they were actually the moments that redirected us into something so much better, far greater than we could have planned. So, if you are someone who is navigating a reinvention season in your life, starting over, really trust your intuition, making bold changes, then you are absolutely in the right place, because in this channel, this is what I share, these real conversations about reinvention, about personal growth, and building your next chapter of life. So if that resonates with you, please make sure to subscribe. And if you're getting a lot from this video and you know somebody who needs it, it means the world to me to share.